Welcome to this week's episode of Tag'em's Tip of the Week. On this week's episode, we are going to be teaching you guys how we e-scout and the advantages of e-scouting and how much time you can save yourself by doing so.
So I've picked 2 points on this property that I would like to scout further, and I'm going to show you why I picked these 2 spots on the map and what makes it look so good to me. The first thing is I'm going to show you the access of this property by drawing some lines from where people can access this property and where these trails lead. So as you can see right here, this is going to be the public parking spot, and there's a trail that runs along this entire wood line here, and it ends right about here. And if you come down here, there is also another public parking spot right here, and a trail you can walk through the woods all the way up to here until it starts to split and go to the east here. So right there you can see this trail and this trail are where I'm figuring most of the people are going to be accessing this property, which leads me to believe that a lot of these deer are going to be pressured back further into this area, and ultimately where I would like to be setting up to hunt this property. If you look at this map here, there's a really good hardwood ridge that runs around this right here. I'm figuring that's going to be probably a pretty good feeding for these deer. Maybe it's some oak trees and some acorns, and these deer are going to be feeding here in the evenings and throughout the night, and then they are going to be going down to this big creek bottom system to bed in the early mornings, and they're going to be coming out of here in the evenings. So my thought was, I'm going to access this property different than the majority of hunters. I'm going to park right here and walk down this strip, and depending on what spot I want to go to, I'm going to stop here and walk this creek in to that spot, or I'm going to walk this creek into this spot. Now that I have established where I would like to access this property, I'm going to show you the 2 spots that I've picked out that I want to further scout. First one is right here. The reason behind this spot that I picked is it's a great transition across this swamp. It's the only spot of woods that connects this property here with this property here. And so I feel like a lot of these deer are going to be walking through this tiny spot of high ground that crosses this big marsh or bog here, and it's going to be a pretty funneled down spot right here, as you can see, and I feel like a lot of these deer are going to travel right in through this point. The next spot that I have picked is right here, and you can see on this spot it's a great transition between different types of hardwood and swamp. So right here along this ridge, you can see that these are a lot of taller trees, and it's the point of this ridge top. If I turn on the map here, you can see this is really a high point, and it all slopes down into this bottom. And why I feel like this could be a good spot is I feel like A, these deer could cross this little high ground here, and B, they're going to walk around this hardwood ridge. And this point is just a general area that I picked. This stand may have to move 100 yards this way or 50 yards this way, but this is the general area that I would like to start scouting this property. And once you get in there, then you can start to look for sign and scrapes and where the most activity is. And if you guys find a really good trail on one of these things, it's probably where I'm going to set up a trail camera, see what deer are moving through here at what times of day, and it will ultimately give you a better inventory of where to set up for this fall.
I hope those few tips helped you, and like I said, there are 4 main things that we look for when we e-scout. The first thing is access. The second thing would be food and bedding. The third thing would be funnels and pinch points. And then the fourth thing would be transitions. And ultimately, you cannot walk into a property that you e-scouted and set a stand where you dropped a pin. That spot might not be great. You might have missed all the action by 100 yards. And you don't know that until you get your boots on the ground. And that's where part 2 of scouting comes in handy. But I feel like e-scouting is a huge advantage because on this property here, I have virtually eliminated, a third of this property that I feel like is not really worth a half a day of scouting because it's so easy for people to walk right by it, and a lot of these deer are going to be pressured back to the points that I had touched on. So I hope these few tips have helped you. The next step is going to be get your boots on the ground, and until then, scout them, hunt them, tag them.